Hello, everyone, and welcome as we preview this third test between India and England over at Ahmedabad, starting in a day's time. Fascinating test match, this one, on many fronts, in my opinion. If we just go back a few weeks, the first test match down at Chipak Stadium down in Chennai, England dominated that test through the masterclass of Joe Root. No question, England dominated that test from day one to the very, very end. A few days later, England changed a number of people in their side. They have a rotational policy in their setup, and they entered into that second test, and they got hammered. India dominated that test match again at Chennai Chipak Stadium from day one to the very, very end. So two contrasting performances to kick off the test series in the first two test matches, which means it is 1-1 in this test series. And let's not forget, it's a very important test series in the sense with points towards that World Test Championship where New Zealand have already made the final. And it's basically down to this test series on who they will meet. And India were resounding favourites at the start of the series. Now, let's fast forward to where we are now. On the eve of this third test match. And this third test match is fascinating in the sense it is a pink ball test. The SG ball, the manufacturer of the ball for this test match, is producing a pink ball for this test. So what do both sides do? The last pink ball test that India played in Australia, they got hammered all out for 36. And we know the outcome of that. They ended up winning that test series. But the pink ball test, where it swings around a lot more at night time, they were wiped off the park at the back end of that test match. Now, if you ask me what is the strength of this English side, well, I think it's some of their fast bowlers, who I think is one of the best swing bowlers who have ever to play the game. And Jimmy Anderson played the first test, rested in the second test, Broad came in. So he will come in, he will play this test match. He just has to play. I think England have to play their best starting 11, but they need key personnel to step up and be match winners in this test match. So with the ball, it's Jimmy Anderson. He swings the ball when it's conventional swing. When it roughs up and reverse swing comes into play, and that's what he was successful with in that first test match. Reverse swing comes into the equation, and he is a master at reverse swing as well. So he's going to be a key player for England. I think Archer comes back. Elbow injury last time, but I think with the pink ball, with a wicket with reports saying there's going to be a bit more movement in the wicket, a bit more carry, especially a lot different from that second test match down at Chennai. Archer will be a threat if he plays. If Broad gets another go, he is going to be a threat. He's going to be a different beast with this pink ball compared to the ball he bowled with in that second test match. So that's going to be a huge challenge for India. Now with the bat, with England, Joe Root cannot do it all by himself every single time in every test match. Yes, he's in his current form is outstanding, and he is leading from the front, and he has cemented his spot in that top 4 batters in world cricket. He cannot bang out runs all the time. He needs support around him. Now Stokes, he needs to step up. He hasn't really produced a big score yet in this test series. We all know he is a very, very good cricketer. He's an excellent all-rounder. He's going to have his part to play with the ball, but with the bat, being a left-hand batter, Ashwin has his number so far. And I wonder the game between Ashwin and Stokes, how long is that going to play on for? And I suspect Stokes is going to be a little bit more aggressive because he's an aggressive batter by nature. He has to support Joe Root at the top. And I think Zach Crawley is going to come back into the 11 potentially after his injury. He's a classy player, and he's going to be around this England setup for a very, very long time. Burns, they need more out of Burns at the top of the order. They need to get off to a good start. Sibley got 80 odd in that first test match, but these younger guys like Lawrence and Pope, they need to be more consistent. Yes, they're still finding their way in international cricket, but they need to be more consistent, and they need to support Joe Root big time in this test match. And didn't Folks play well that last game as well? So it'll be interesting to see how he can back up those performances. Now, India, I think they'll have a point to prove when it comes to the pink ball test, because yes, they got they got hammered big time down in Australia, but this time's a little bit different. It's at home at Ahmedabad. They're going to have a lot of support, and it's a very important test match for a result to go their way in regards to this World Test Championship. Now, a player from the batting point of view, I've been harping on, he's due to explode, and he's been showing glimpses of it without producing the big score, and that's the skipper, Kohli. He's one of the world's best batters. Kane Williamson, Steve Smith, Joe Root, and Kohli lead the charge on that front, with Marnus Labuschagne just beneath those top four. But I think Kohli, he's ready to explode, and potentially it could be in this test match. But the challenge for these guys is the swinging ball, and they got exposed a little bit sometimes down in Australia. So I think Kohli will lead the charge on that front. And the big wickets for England are going to be Ajinkya Rahane as well. He's yet to produce a big score in this test series. And Pujara, he can be a wall. He can be the one who can nullify that swinging ball as well. So he can be key wickets there for England. Shubman Gill, I'm his biggest fan. He's going to be a very good player and missed out in this last test match. So it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back in this test, and he doesn't mind the fast bowling at all. We saw this down in Australia. He took on the short balls from Stark and Hazelwood and Pat Cummins. He's not afraid of that whatsoever. He's a little bit, I guess, if there was a weakness where Australia attacked him towards the end of that test series, was outside off stump when his feet are just not quite moving. But he is such a good player. I'm really fascinated to watch his development in the years to come. And part, I think he's just going to be aggressive as he normally is and try to take on this England attack. Now, the bowling department here for India is going to be huge, because Boomer, I think, will enjoy this pace under the lights as well, and the ball may kiss on a little bit more. He, funny enough, hasn't played a lot of test matches in India, which is quite bizarre, but he's just a phenomenal bowler. I love settling in and watching him go through his work at the bowling crease. But Umesh Yadav comes back into the group. Now, we all know how good a bowler he is, so it'd be fascinating to see if he gets around and how he attacks this English lineup with fresh legs, because he has not played a huge amount of cricket in recent times. And one special mention has to go to Ishant, because it's going to be his 100th test match. He picked up the milestone in the last test, but again, with a wicket where he's going to get a bit of pace and carry, he's going to be a big threat to this English lineup as well. And it'll be also fascinating to see how Ashwin backs up that amazing performance he had in that most recent test match. It's going to be a different ball for him to bowl with. There's maybe a little bit of dew at night time as well, and the sheen on that pink ball. So it's going to be a lot different. It's not going to be as abrasive as it was down in Chennai Chipak Stadium. So it's going to be actually really interesting how the spinners from both sides handle this pink ball. Yes, we talk about the pink ball a lot being used at night time, but there's still 2 sessions during the day where they can use the block and see how this wicket dries up. And it's the beauty of Test cricket, I find, when you have these different conditions that teams can play in across the world. And that's why I didn't really get upset with it being a really turning wicket in that second test. It favoured the home side. Well, that's what playing at home is all about. You get conditions to suit. Just like if a team went up to England, that's normally swinging and conditions with a green wicket as well, and that favours the home side up there. So I like how you have variety in wickets around the place, and there's going to be a variety here with this pink ball test at Ahmedabad. So just mentioned there are a few players that I'm really looking forward to step up to see how they perform in this test match, because all said and done, it's 1-1 heading into this test, and it's a pink ball test, so it's a bit of an anomaly. So it's going to be fascinating to see how both teams react to this. So let's sit back, enjoy this pink ball test at Ahmedabad. It's going to be a fascinating watch.